Alright, hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today we're going to have another reminiscing sort of video talking about the past 5 years of Age of Sigmar for myself, Deadhammer. And today we're going to have probably, I guess, the most important video in this whole subject of how the channel and myself all got really, I guess, involved this heavily into the community. And so we'll start with the formation of Cinderful Gaming, which is sort of the start of all of this. So early in 2019, I'd been running Warhammer Facebook groups for quite some time. At this point, whether people knew it was me or not, I'd been running a lot of them for a long time at this point. Some I'd given away to others, some I'd just no longer existed, and others I'd still run, but maybe behind a bit more of the shadows, and people didn't really know as much of me as they maybe do now. And so at this point I assigned Cinderful Gaming, and this was simply because it allowed me to, from one page, manage all the groups that are around. And so we've got this little network of all different faction groups and the major Age of Sigmar groups, and even some 40k groups now, along with other side game ones like Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champions, etc. And this allowed me to sort of just easily manage all those groups because I had sort of a central hub that I could link, and if there was a problem person that was getting banned from one group, you can ban them from all the groups in one, but at the same time you can also send out messages to the groups really easy instead of having to open and shut all of them. But then I got me thinking, I really like talking about Warhammer, so why don't we make a YouTube channel as well? And so my initial plan for the YouTube channel, and it still is to this day, and I still do support it in different ways now than what I originally did, was talking about my experiences through Warhammer as a dad. And I very much still do this. Everything I do is based on the fact that I'm a dad. And so just after I launched the channel, we had my first daughter. Her name is Harper, for anyone wondering. I've since had my second child, who is my little boy Orion. And I launched the channel, and originally it was just little videos of me on a daily basis, just chatting about my day, chatting about how things had gone, and just, talking about being a new dad and doing some Warhammer along the way, and how that changed and how things changed in my gaming and my personal life. Of course, the channel's evolved much more over then. I guess I'm more of a little bit of a voice of sort of discussing narrative and open, and even a little bit of competitive play on different topics, like looking at helping getting people into the game as well. It's a very big focus of mine, but at the very core of my thing, it's what I want to do is have a place where people can feel safe, feel welcome, and have a good place for people to come to the hobby. But that's the channel start, and so with the channel starting, I started to become a bit more active in both Facebook groups and online and Twitter and other media formats, Instagram, etc. And from that, I started watching The Honest Wargamer, and at that point we had started to have LLV come on with his stats, and they'd been going around for a little bit, and I was really interested in this. And so one big thing of mine was how do I want to do something for me that no one else has done. And so I looked at the factions that hadn't been run, and there were Scourge Privateers, and this was just after I'd finished reading City of Secrets, and then Calcin Toll and Heart of Winter had all come about at different times as well. I always liked the Black Ark Corsairs as models from the Dark Elf range. They always were my favourite Dark Elf models. I'm going to run an army of Scourge Privateers. I'm going to take them to a tournament. And then Cancon came about. I got my ticket, and I'm you know what? I'm going to take Scourge Privateers to Cancon. I'm going to take this army that no one has ever seen on the tabletop probably. And I'm going to take it to the largest Warhammer Age of Sigmar tournament in the world. And so I set about my hashtag Scourge Privateer meta. And this was just a ton of fun to work on this army. I haven't had this much enjoyment for an army since. I can't wait to go back to my Scourge Privateers. They're sitting up there on my cabinet, all nice and pretty, and I'll probably redo the army. I mean, the Scourge Privateer army, my painting's improved a lot since I did them, but I don't want to like redo this army in any way. This army deserves to be just untouched. Keep it how it is, and I'll do a new one down the line, because I feel that's what this army has earned. So an interesting thing to add to this, not only was I going to run this at Cancon, but at the time, Rob Symes from the Honest Wargame had also made a decision to run one army for only a year and see if he could just up his scores by playing that one army consistently, and see if he got better just by playing one army. He, of course, at this time was doing Chaos Dwarves or Legion of Asgore. And so I decided to also run Scourge Privateers for a whole year. I would play no games except with my Scourge Privateers, and so I played them for a whole year. From pretty much the start of AOS 2 to the next General's Handbook is when I played the entire Scourge Privateers, nothing but. And so I ended up taking them to quite a few events. I went to Cancon and South Australian Grand Tournament, although South Australian Grand Tournament, unfortunately, due to some family illness, I could only compete one day in. There's also numerous one-day events that I took part in over the course of the year. And so I had a blast of a time, and I actually ended up getting like a 68% win rate over the time with my Scourge Privateers. Like, I was winning 2 out of 3 games I was playing with my Scourge Privateers at this point. But let's dial back a little bit and we'll chat, I guess, about the first forays to start with. So the first forays I really remember are I played at a one-day, and my first opponent I finally got to play against Mr. Doom and Darkness, and played against his Beastman and got soundly walloped by his Beastman. Now in this game I learnt a lot of things about my Scourge Privateers. This was probably my first game playing against someone of his level of understanding of the game. Now I mentioned in like my previous one talking about my first tournament that I'd learnt a few things, but I never really watched my opponent play like how Doom played in this game, and I learnt a lot of things from this game. This game, more than any game I've ever played of Age of Sigmar, changed how I thought about the game and changed how I played. It was really interesting watching Doom play Warhammer and just playing against him and learning a lot in defeat in this game. And so I then played my next 2 games. I played against an Ever-Chosen army in the second game, and I won that quite convincingly. The big unit of 3 chariots rolled 3 6s on their harpoons at the time, which did d6 damage. Archaon failed all those saves, and they did 15 damage, took him off the table, just like that. It was absolutely amazing. They took him off the table in a turn. It was glorious. I still remember it's still probably the best kill I've ever had with this Scourge Privateer army. Single model kill, anyway. And in the last game, I got to play against Rise of the Doomball, and played against his Beastman, very Minotaur heavy Beastman, and managed to win that on some good movement positioning around on a focal points, which I'd learned a lot about playing against Doom in a couple of games previous to this. So that was my first foray. I went 2-1 in the end, and that was a pretty good result. I then go 2-1 and a couple more one-days before we then hit on to Cancon. And so Cancon, previous to this, I was in the chat for something. I think it was Warhammer Weekly, and AOS coach was talking trash about my Scourge Privateers. So I'm like, you know what? No one talks trash about my army. I'm going to kick your butt with pirates. So I took my Scourge Privateers and I gave him a grudge match at Cancon. And this, like, I'd never actually met coach. I'd never really truly interacted properly with him before this. But at this point, I got to Cancon. We had the amazing barbecue. I'm sure everyone's seen that picture going around of the Cancon barbecue. I don't want to post it up here, mainly because there's lots of people in there that might not want the picture up on here. So you can go find that picture somewhere, I'm sure, though. It was a fantastic event, the Cancon barbecue. Met a whole bunch of people that I've been talking to online for a long, long time. Caught back up with some of my mates from Bendigo that I'd made, some really fantastic people. And that was a good lot of fun. But then Cancon rolled around, and I had my first game of Cancon against AOS Coach, and he was running Gloomspike Gits, and to his credit, like, he did have to like change his list at the last minute, because obviously the Gloomspike Codex had just come, Battle Tome had just come out at that point, and he changed up his list, but still was running like a pretty decent list. But I think it showed his army had changed quite dramatically, and I did win quite convincingly against his Gloomspike, and like, yes, I beat him, but he did have a new army. Like, his army had literally changed so dramatically on him. But it was good. It was like a good game to have against Coach and finally get to meet the dude. And we've been good friends ever since. My next game was against some Legion of Blood, I think. This would go into the first of 4 games in a row at Cancon where I would face an Ethereal Amulet Zombie Dragon plus Mortark of choice. And so the next 4 games were all playing Legion of Nagash. This was like Legion of Nagash at the height of the power. So I lost the first one, and that one actually was on Honest Wargamer's stream. So you can go back and watch that. I played absolutely terribly. I made some really poor decisions there. He made some really big charge rolls that really hampered, and I should have thought more about the potential of them happening. Instead, I was basing my thoughts on averages and stuff like that. And that really came back to bite me in the butt in that game. And then I played another game against Legion of Nagash straight up after this, and 40 of my Scourge Privateers got annihilated turn 1. The combat ones all got annihilated turn 1 by Ark and the Black's Curse of Years at this point. However, I did manage to go back and win that game from somehow losing half my army turn 1, which was pretty cool. I then played another one. This one was a very Grimghast Reaper. This wasn't the Grimghast Reaper heavy list. Yes, it was. So then played a Grimghast Reaper heavy list next, and just a bit more knowledge and a bit more favourable bounce from the relocation orb. Effectively, I was probably able to go grab it if it didn't jump like 3 times right to my opponent's backfield and then lost priority, and he managed to summon a unit of Grimghast that had just finally killed back into guard the objective, and I just wasn't able to get it. But so I lost that one. I then played against a Dead March one with like still the same Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, Ethereal Amulet, that same thing, and managed to eke out a win in what was the game? Knife to the Heart. And then the last game against Fire Slayers, I just convincingly lost. Just could not punch through the wall of Fire Slayers in the last game. So Cancon was a mixed bag. I went 3-3, which was my aim to go with Scourge Privateers. I kept my winning percentage up, and that was a lot of fun. I'd play in a few more events, like I mentioned. I'd play on SAGT and actually defeat a Daughters of Cain list that ended up coming 4th before I had to pull out on day 2 due to some family illness. I played another couple of one-dayers where my Scourge Privateers once again held their own and went 2-1 a couple more times. But all in all, I think the Scourge Privateers have sort of set my theme. Like, everyone knows that's the army, I guess, people know me for now. All my friends go, oh, when are the Privateers coming back out? And I've got new Privateers now. I've got a new army list planned. I'm waiting for that General's Handbook to come out, and it'll probably be the army I start working on for the new General's Handbook, along with some Lumineth Realm Lords. But I guess my end point on this one is Cancon was a load of fun, and I'll reiterate my thing of like going to tournaments again, even if you're not going for competitive reasons. Tournaments are a load of fun. You meet some great people, you make good friends that you'll have for a long, long time, and they're well worth going to. You should always go to events. They're not what you think. There's not that many that guys out there. And even if you're getting your butt crushed, you'll have some fun with some people. So definitely go to events. But anyway, that's enough rambling from me today. This is all about Scourge Privateers and Cancon. And we'll have another little reminiscing video up shortly. Thanks all for watching. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching. Please, if you'd like to support the channel more, please do hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It means the world to me, and it keeps us popping out content like this non-stop. Also, special thanks go to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon, and you can find the links to our Patreon down in the description of the video below. But first of all, thank you to our Sinful Guard Militia members, Christian Weir, Wasarin, and Philip Ward, and our Sinful Free Guild Regiment member, James. You guys are all amazing, and thank you so much for supporting the channel. Lastly, don't forget you can go find in the description of the video also the link to the Sinful Gaming Discord server, where you can chat with me and other members of our little cool community about all things wargaming. Thank you everyone for watching once again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey.